Ladies and gentlemen, one of the most hilarious offseason moves has just happened right now. This is something that is going to affect the NFL draft, in particular, the New Orleans Saints and quarterback Derek Carr. Let's just say that things are about to get real awkward. The Raiders' former general manager Dave Ziegler was good friends with head coach Josh McDaniels, and they took over the team in 2022.
Background. Everybody knows you went to John Carroll University with Josh McDaniels. Very well reported.
It was a good experience going through it with Josh. Obviously, we've known each other for a long time, but it was a cool experience too to do it together.
They were in lockstep with one another, and one of the big moves that they made was give Derek Carr a contract extension that had a 1 year out. This 1 year out was real sketchy, but they always maintain there's nothing to see here.
How the contract was built and all those, different types of things. People can look into all those things and create different storylines. And the extension was longer than 1 year, and it was longer than 1 year for a reason.
After completely failing in 2022 with Derek Carr and then failing in 2023 with quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo, Dave Ziegler, the general manager, and Josh McDaniels were fired. This was a moment when Derek Carr could have gloated, but in his reaction to their firing, he took the high road and expressed sympathy.
I just feel for them and their family. I've been through it. This business is so tough that we forget the human side of things. My heart is for Josh and Dave, and I wish Dave and Josh the best, as they know, and I've told them. I wish them the absolute best. So,
arguably the biggest move in Dave Ziegler and McDaniels' career was moving on from Derek Carr, and it backfired.
Your successor failed. Ultimately, it led to the firing of Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler. And did you have a moment of just validation that you knew it was the wrong decision at the time?
I really didn't have a feeling like, told you, like any of that kind of stuff. I really didn't have those feelings. I actually remember sitting there talking to my wife. I was like, I actually feel bad for their family, because that sucks. It's tough. I've been there.
The Jimmy Garoppolo signing was a complete disaster. And after the fallout with the Raiders with McDaniels and Ziegler, Ziegler tried his best to distance himself from Josh McDaniels, even though this dude was one of his best friends going back to college and was someone that he was in lockstep with in making decisions. Through leaks to the media, Ziegler tried to save face and fluff his resume by dissing his homie, dissing his friend, saying, "Oh, I never wanted Jimmy Garoppolo. I actually wanted to trade up to grab CJ Stroud, who everybody loves now." And it was just sort of lame to see this guy do this. Not only is he dissing his friend, but he's saying things that just don't seem true if you follow the Raiders over the past year and a half. Raiders owner Mark Davis strongly pushed back against some of these claims that Dave Ziegler was just hindered by Josh McDaniels and he's such a great guy who wanted to make all the greatest roster moves. He's basically pushing back against these alleged leaks by Dave Ziegler's camp. In an interview with The Athletic, Mark Davis said, "Lately, some articles have come out making it seem like the head coach had more authority on that, and that's the furthest thing from the truth. The general manager had final authority on all of it. Whether he accepted that authority or not is a different story, but it was very clear when they were hired where the buck stopped." So Mark Davis was not letting Dave Ziegler get away with blaming everything on Josh McDaniels. He's essentially saying that this guy was the GM. He was responsible for the roster moves at the end of the day. Mark Davis's statement came around December 13th of 2023, trying to clap back at ridiculous articles like this that came out in November. Deep dive into how Dave Ziegler could have saved the Raiders. Despite the fact that things ended badly for Dave Ziegler, despite the fact that he essentially decided to move on from Derek Carr and try to upgrade at the quarterback position, Carr still maintained that he felt bad for them, and it seems like he knew all along that they would be in the NFL for some time.
And, I was in that moment, I just was like, I don't want to hurt any relationship. I don't want to say something stupid. You never know what the future holds.
At the end of the day, it's a business, and they know that. They'll be fine. They'll move on. They'll have jobs in this league for sure.
We know the NFL coaching and front office world is a small world. There's nepotism involved, and you gotta have a lot of experience to be in the big club. So it seems like Carr made the right move taking the high road because he knew that, hey, possibly in the future, he may cross paths with Dave Ziegler again, and now we're finding out that that is 100% happening right away in 2024. A new report has emerged by Jonathan Jones of CBS. This is official. Sources tell CBS Sports former Raiders general manager Dave Ziegler is joining the New Orleans Saints in an advisory role through the 2024 draft. Ziegler will assist the Saints over the next 2 months. So this is not a permanent position for Dave Ziegler in the New Orleans Saints, but he is 100% officially going to be helping them and advising them in the 2024 draft. So oddly enough, even though the man moved on from Derek Carr basically in 2022, he is now linking back up with DC4, this time in New Orleans. Some people have joked around saying, hey, is he going to suggest that they go ahead and ditch Derek Carr? But no, that's not going to happen. The Saints have actually recently, as of February 23rd, made a huge commitment to Derek Carr. He is going to be the franchise quarterback there all the way up till 2025. Let me break this down for you. So the Saints need to open up some cap space. They restructured Derek Carr's contract. He was due $30 million in base salary. They converted that into a signing bonus. So the Saints freed up roughly $23 million by restructuring Carr. But here's the big thing that has a lot to say about the future, and it actually shows why the Saints are not going to be drafting a quarterback at pick number 14. Not only did they free up this cap space, but it raised his dead cap hit to $50 million in 2025. So they're fully committed to this guy for 2024 and 2025 without a doubt. If they try to move on from him, they would eat $50 million in dead money, which they cannot do. Actually, when you look at it a little closer, the Saints are pretty much committed to Derek Carr all the way to 2026. So you got 3 full years committed to this guy. The main reason is that the Saints, if they did decide to release Derek Carr in 2026, they would eat almost $60 million in dead money. So when it comes to evaluating the draft, I highly doubt that Dave Ziegler is going to be giving some tips at what to do at the quarterback position. In a lot of ways, it does make sense for the Saints to hire Dave Ziegler for this advisory role because the Saints are picking at pick number 14, right behind the Las Vegas Raiders. Dave Ziegler, when you think about it, was preparing to draft in 2024 before being fired on Halloween. So they're going to be able to peep at this guy's draft board and know what he was planning to do while picking at roughly the same spot. The Saints only have 4 draft picks. Maybe they will trade back. Maybe they'll trade some players to get some more picks, but they got a first rounder, a second rounder, a 5th, 6th, and 7th. And I believe the Saints are going to draft mainly on the defensive side of the football and also the offensive line. Dave Ziegler has done a decent job drafting offensive linemen. In terms of the Raiders, he hasn't been too spectacular on the defensive side of the football, but the guy has tons of experience. It's another general manager, a dude who was supposed to be employed in 2024, so it could only help the Saints organization. I just overall find this story absolutely hilarious that they're already crossing paths. The only thing that could make this maybe funnier is if Josh McDaniels became the offensive coordinator for the Saints instead of Clint Kubiak. That would have been the most hilarious thing in the world. So another former Raider is joining the New Orleans Saints. They already have Jonathan Abram. Dennis Allen is the former Raiders head coach. They also have Foster Moreau at tight end. The only other former Raider the Saints need right now is Mr. Hunter Renfrow, the wide receiver in Vegas currently and on the block. Dave Ziegler needs to hit up the Raiders and help make this happen. If you're still watching at this point, I really appreciate it, man. Subscribe to my channel, Wi-Fi Willie, for more NFL content from me. Peace out, and I hope you have a good one.